If you're watching this, I'm already dead. Just kidding, you could never really know. I might be dead, I might be alive. I can't promise you either way. As a content creator, I'm uploading this now, but like you could be watching this in like 5 years. I'm Schrodinger's Harrison right now. But if you're watching this, it's all because of this whole deck tech thing. I don't know what I'm gonna title this video, but something about deck techs. More so, this video is about why I'm quitting deck techs, or at least stepping away from deck techs. Hi, I'm Harrison. I run these here parts. I'm visiting home right now as I get ready for a long stint of teachers college. I'm outside right now with 2 dogs, so if you hear any sniffing or barking, no, it's not your mic problems. It's Eddie right here. This video gets a little deep, and it gets into what it takes to run a Magic the Gathering YouTube channel. When I first started this channel in 1985, I had to wait 12 years to be born, and then I had to wait another 8 years for YouTube to be created. Then I waited until 2015 to actually start producing content. I made just whatever came to my mind when it came to Magic the Gathering stuff. There were skits, there were deck techs, there were pack openings, anything that was like, oh, I could make a Magic the Gathering video. I tried. A lot of the stuff I look back on and cringe, I don't think is that great. I've deleted a bunch of it. I honestly consider 2020 more so the start of this channel. In June of 2020, I started making deck techs pretty consistently. In the last 2 weeks of June of 2020, I made 11 deck techs, and this was a massive kickoff to the start of this channel. I only had a couple hundred subscribers at that point, but between June and October, I was able to get to 1,000 subscribers. I was making deck techs every couple of days. I'd never go longer than like half a week without a new deck tech. Deck techs were a great way to get my face in front of a new batch of viewers. I'd make a deck tech for a new commander. People would go looking for anything about that new commander. They'd find my video. Hey, that's a new viewer. I'd race to put it up, and I don't know if I'm just imagining this, but I feel like there's almost this race among content creators to be one of the first videos for a new commander. And actually, there are a couple commanders from that era that I was the first to post about. You wanted to be the first one to post, because if you were the first one and you were able to get your commander deck tech up the day the commander got previewed, that was massive for your channel. The whole reason bigger channels don't do it is because they don't need to do it. But it's quite intense. A little peek behind the curtain, it normally would take hours for me to make a video. Even a video as short as like 4 minutes could take about 4 hours. I was fortunate that I had a lot of free time in June of 2020. Who knows why? I needed to do something to get my mind off of the world just crumbling around us. June 2020 was also like one of the worst times of my life. I haven't shared much about my mental health journey with this channel, but I spent at least a night, I can't quite remember, at least a night in a hospital in June of 2020 because I was suicidal. This wasn't the first time I spent time in a hospital for this, and fortunate enough, I haven't had to spend time in a hospital for this since then, and I'm very glad I didn't do anything too drastic, didn't go too far. I'm very glad I have the support systems around me to keep me around. This video really took a turn I really wasn't quite expecting. So June 2020, we're about 100 days into lockdown. My mental health was already shaky, and all of this just shook it even further. I decided I would commit a bunch of time to the Gatherers, just as like a hobby. Something to do other than my normal sleep, wake up, play Hades, and listen to my brother and me. That was pretty much my whole early pandemic. So I kicked into high gear and made a bunch of deck techs. I became almost obsessed with making deck techs, and looking back on it with that workload, I almost needed to be obsessed. I had the free time until I went back to my summer job, but even then, that summer job was only like Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 type hours. I still had evenings and weekends. I couldn't go out. I couldn't go see my partner. I had to find something to do. I just grinded out videos and it grew my channel. So September, October 2023, this past month, has been the biggest growth for this channel ever. And the only other time that comes even close to that is September, October of 2020. That fall, I was back at university and we were in lockdown, so everything was online, and I was already taking a reduced course load. So I was doing like 3 classes a week. I definitely had the time to crank out Magic the Gathering content. The only content I knew how to produce that would actually gain some success was Magic the Gathering Commander deck techs. So I just kept pumping them out. I kept doing this for a couple years. I produced the odd video that wasn't a deck tech, but since I wanted to make Commander content and didn't have a reasonable way to make gameplay videos, nor did I have any way to really make it to my standard. I just leaned on deck techs. I kind of touched on it earlier, but deck techs can be time consuming. I have to pick the commander. If it's preview season, this could normally just be the commander that is the most hyped commander that was released that day. I then have to research that commander and commanders like that commander that did a similar effect, or other cards that had similar effects. This part could be pretty strenuous, because one of the worst parts of any content creation is receiving negative comments. It can just seem so heartbreaking if you pour a bunch of time into something and then someone can just shit on it. Oh, you missed this obvious inclusions. Oh, you misread the commander, so you just don't know how this works, so you're bad. Like, I can name 3 commander deck techs that I made just off the top of my head. I might not be able to remember the comment verbatim, but I remember the general gist. There was Abeka and Averna. They came around in the same set, and Abeka has this whole end a turn kind of clause, and I guess I just didn't know how to properly work with that, and because of that I put out a subpar video. And I just remember someone putting out a comment that was like,
"This is what happens when noobs make deck techs."
A, I'm not a noob. I've been playing for 7 years. I just didn't understand how this worked. B, this is not a way to talk to somebody. Like, don't be a gatekeeper. Averna, at that point, I was making deck techs that were only like 4 minutes, and Averna was a lands deck, so I only needed to include like 2/3 of what I usually would talk about. So I got a comment that was like,
"If your video is only 2 minutes, you really have nothing to add."
The third one I remember just because I think I ended up actually deleting it. It was Volo Guide of Monsters, or Guide to Monsters. I don't think there's one comment that stands out, but Volo was definitely like a victim in my deck building days of just, I had to rush this out as fast as possible, so I was making choices that weren't the best choice, and people just tore into me. Obviously, I deleted it, so you can just imagine how bad it was. But Volo was a total victim there. I had to cut corners, and ultimately made a not great product. After I research a commander, I put all of the cards into a spreadsheet. I have like the categories across the top. Here's my ramp cards. Here's Voltron, but will power up the commander. Here's Voltron that will give keywords to the commander. Obviously, not every deck's a Voltron deck, even though I'd like that to be a thing. Then I'd write the script, and I'd basically just take the section, the column, plunk it into my script, and then write around it, basically being like, here's the card advantage section. First off, we have Idol of Oblivion, blah, 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 blah. Then I'd record the script and then have to edit it down. Overall, research could take a couple hours. Deck building included in that, it's definitely taking a couple hours. Script writing, if I was quick, would take like half an hour. If I was recording a 4-minute video, it'd be about 10 minutes of audio. On a good day, if I was being extremely efficient, I can make a 4-minute video in about 4 hours. I'm being very generous with this. I would have to be very efficient to keep that up. And all of this was unpaid. I'm sitting at 5,000 subscribers right now, and I still get paid like less than $100 a month by YouTube. I didn't enter the partner program until December of 2020, so all of that was just built on, wouldn't it be fun to have a Commander YouTube channel? I can be just like the people that I look up to. I'm trying to list names, but there's a bunch of people who have stopped making Magic the Gathering content, and some people who you just shouldn't look up to anymore. Obviously, that awe-inspired wonder that makes you want to build these videos eventually just runs out. You look forward to preview season, and then you get day one, they just release commander after commander that just stinks. Or maybe they release one that looks good and you get partway into making it and it just doesn't come together. You put in 4, 5, maybe even 6 hours of work, usually all in one day, always unpaid, sitting at a desk thinking, oh, maybe this video will explode, maybe this video will get 1,000 views, maybe it'll get 2,000 views, who knows. This really sucked because back then they were still releasing a lot of products. This was kind of the start of the wave of them releasing 1 billion products every 2 weeks, but it was very boom and bust. There was very, I can't think of like an allegory for it. It was very boom or bust. It was very sink or swim. It was very, when they were releasing product, you had a lot to talk about, and then when they weren't releasing product, you had to find something that you could talk about. It was only 3 years ago, but even then we didn't have Eldraine going into Doctor Who, going into Ixalan all in a week and a half. And you think, okay, maybe you can pace yourself, make content quickly when they're previewing cards. take a rest, take mental health days when they aren't putting out cards. So then you're ready, you're refreshed to come back to it. But YouTube's this hungry beast. YouTube almost requires you to keep up with them and maybe post videos regularly. Burnout is a big thing that a lot of people have been talking about regularly throughout Magic the Gathering, that there's just so much product to keep up with that it's just like your eyes glaze over. You're like, I don't want to do this anymore. But producing 2 deck techs a week, maybe more, you just run out of energy. You run out of steam. I burnt out. Within the last 2 years, various Magic the Gathering content creators have put out videos on being Magic the Gathering content creators. The main ones I think of are Tulare Community College collabed with Josh Lee Kwai from the Command Zone podcast, and then also like Spike Feeders put out a video. They're both great videos. I recommend going to look them up if you want to be a content creator. I won't get into the specifics of any of them, but the one thing that stood out from these was Prof and Josh Lee Kwai said, don't make deck techs. No matter what you do, if you take anything from this video, stop, don't make deck techs. First off, looking back on this, I think that's kind of a privileged position to have. I think that's the right way to do it. I think that's the healthy way to do it. But it's also, if you think about it, the allegory I'd make with this is someone at peak physical fitness says, well, just do this 3-hour exercise and eat all the best foods. I'm not in peak physical condition. I don't have X amount of time to put towards that. I don't have the money to get these resources. What do? Do I just die? Like that kind of idea. Like, they can make these comments of saying don't make deck techs when they have 900,000 subscribers, when they have like 650,000 subscribers. You don't make the videos on your channel that you know will give you some marginal success to scale with your thing. Meanwhile, we're gonna put out the equivalent of like Magic's Marvel Cinematic Universe every week or every month. Again, I love Prof and Command Zone. I think it's a very valid point. Don't make deck techs. If I was to do this all over again, probably wouldn't go too hard into deck techs. But they're a temporary success for your channel that eventually, when that temporary success runs out, you're just back to square one. It's just definitely a lot easier to say when you are the top 2 channels for Magic the Gathering content. It was a definite eye-opener. The thing I built my channel on could easily be the reason why my channel was stagnant. So I was burnt out making deck techs, and 2 people that I look up to just said, hey, don't make deck techs anymore. And I was vocal on my Twitter about not doing deck techs or being burnt out on deck techs or burnt out on Magic in general and making Magic content. And I was actually reached out to by one of my buddies, Mr. Badger. He tweeted at me. He's a very creative dude. I don't know what that noise was. He said that one thing he does when he gets writer's block or he just feels burnt out is, instead of making content that he thinks everyone is going to love, he makes content that he's going to love, that he knows the final product he's going to enjoy, and he's going to enjoy the process of making it. So I did that. I knew I still liked Commander, but it was just the framework of a deck tech that had me burnt out. I do videos that are predictions. I do videos that were opinion pieces on sets. I do set reviews. I do top 10 lists. And all of these videos stank. The best one of these videos still doesn't really stack up to like the worst deck tech. I started toying around with it and made like a schedule where I'd do a deck tech and then the next video would be something that isn't a deck tech, and then I'd go back and forth between the two. Soon enough, YouTube Shorts started proving that they were going to be like a reliable thing. It wasn't just a flash in the pan. So I started making YouTube Shorts, and actually my most successful series on this channel is Creature Type of the Day, and I've loved making those videos. For those who don't follow me or don't know what this series is, every other day I post a video going through creature types in alphabetical order, just saying like, here's the creature type of the day: alien, gamer, squid. I haven't gotten to S yet. I think I'm at like H right now. I just broke 100 the other day. Rather than forcing top 10 lists, I decided to embrace what I actually liked in Commander content and YouTube content. And then that brought me around to making stuff that I actually enjoyed. When I look at what I regularly consume when it comes to YouTube content, it's YouTube commentary videos and like video essays. When I think video essays, I think like 4-hour videos on some video game I haven't heard of. But like commentary videos, more so, they're like 10-minute videos, 20-minute videos on like some niche, newer topic. I love commentary videos and video essays like Drew Gooden, Danny Gonzalez, Gabby Bell, Chad, Papa Meat. These are all content creators that are outside of Magic the Gathering. How about like Spice 8 Rack, Ristic Studies, Commander Sphere, newer content with Dan? I could keep these on a loop just over and over, and I would never grow tired of this. So I decided to start doing stuff like this. It's significantly harder to produce. Like, even looking at this video kind of takes on that bit of a commentary-esque video, and a normal deck tech, 1,600 words was like a lot. That was a long deck tech. This video right now is over 2,400 words. It became harder, but it became more freeing. And you know what? They started to outproduce some of my deck techs. One of my newer videos, Magic's Biggest Errata of All Time, has more views and more success than any deck tech I've posted since last February. It's a little weird to measure success by views when you're on YouTube and you're on a platform that's so centered around metrics and analytics and qualitative ways to describe quantitative ideas. That's kind of just how I have to follow it. I was getting fulfillment out of content that I was happy to put my name on, that was also getting clicks. Originally, I was getting burnt out by producing content. I was getting burnt out by getting content aimed at me, like a million Commander decks coming out a year. Other content creators were saying, get out of the deck tech game. It was definitely making my channel stagnant. And now I have something that I feel kind of proud of that I can put my name on. So the last deck tech I made on this channel was Indominus Rex. It came out in September of this year. I don't think it'll be the final deck tech on this channel. I don't want to give any rule of finality on this type of thing. If there's a commander that comes along that I want to make, I will make it. I'll brew it and I'll share it with you guys if I really love it. But deck techs are definitely going to be fewer and far between here. I'll brew decks because I want to, and not because I feel like I have to. And I plan on releasing a bunch of my deck building tips and tricks now that I'm pseudo-retiring from the deck building game. If you're still here, thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to bolt your birds. I'm about to go bolt these birds. I don't know if you can even hear them. They're loud.